yes, we've all been there before. This shit is more than a game, man. And now, these shirts are more than a game. But did you know that this merch wasn't made only for sportswear? No sirree. This shit more than a game is a lifestyle brand. You can wear the shirts for anything, such as going shopping, working out,
This shit more than a game.
doing chores, setting the mood,
Oh yeah, that's that thing I like.
changing a tire, robbing a bank,
Go, 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 go.
jumping a Falcons fan, and so much more. So purchase your official This Shit More Than a Game merch today for the low starting point of $28.03 and let the world know this shit more than a game. Warning, please see a doctor if you feel you've gone too far with taking this shit more than a game. This shit more than a game is not associated or licensed with any organization or entity except for Jono Barnes LLC. This shit more than a game is not responsible for any fights caused by the shirts. Jono Barnes LLC does not promote or recommend violence of any kind unless it's at the expense of a Falcons fan. I bet you he does it again. I bet you he does it again.
Winston throws, and it's picked
Garbage! Garbage! Winston is garbage! That was funny. That was funny. Look, man, I hope Tampa keeps Jameis forever. If you're the Saints, you want him in your division. Any team that Jameis is on is never going to win the Super Bowl. Oh. Hey, what's that, my man? Hey, man, scoot over a little bit. Appreciate you, big dog. All right, y'all. 2021 Saints season is underway. Jameis Winston era. Got a feeling Jameis gonna lead us all the way to the Super Bowl. You want some? That was one of these skits that actually really kind of set me off a little bit and helped me build the audience. The audience that has got me to the point now where this upcoming weekend I have a Saints player pulling up to the crib to come on the Jono Barnes show to kick it with me and the homies. Folks, usually this is where I do my rant, but I'm not going to do a rant today. What I'm going to do is I'm going to give a tribute to a man who some might even say, why are Saints fans so sentimental about this guy? Hell, I actually did have some on Twitter today, especially Bucs fans, of course, of all people, saying, why are we so sentimental? Why are we so sad about Jameis leaving? Well, let me use this opening time to give props to Jameis Winston, because you see, here in New Orleans, we don't that's the old saying, right? If you love New Orleans, it'll love you back. It's almost become too cliche, in my opinion, sometimes. But if you love New Orleans, it'll love you back. And no quarterback has probably had such a tough task to come into for a franchise than Jameis Winston did when he had to come and try to fill the shoes of Drew Brees. Now, we all knew that no quarterback was ever going to fill the shoes right away, at least, of Drew Brees, unless we got real lucky. So we knew that. But what Jameis did wasn't necessarily that he filled the shoes of Drew Brees on the field. Absolutely not. I'll be the first one to say, and I'll be absolutely transparent when I say Jameis wasn't the greatest on the field. Hell, I even say during the fateful 2022 season, you know, when it became the old Jameis Winston versus Andy Dalton debate. And I was like, okay, would you rather get shot or would you rather get stabbed? Like, at the end of the day, you're still getting a pretty poor result. Jameis wasn't the greatest quarterback on the field. I think we all can agree with that. But what Jameis did, and the shoes that he did fill, was that he loved the city of New Orleans. And that shit matters down here, folks. That shit matters down here. So when folks ask why New Orleans fans so sentimental, Jameis wasn't that great of a player for them, it's more than that. That's why I always say this shit more than a game. Because it's much more down here, man. You saw Jameis at the Zulu Ball. You saw Jameis at Mardi Gras parades. You saw Jameis in the community. You saw Jameis at Lundi Gras festivals. You saw Jameis dancing in the crowds. You saw Jameis dancing on the sideline, embracing fans. You saw that in the community. We like that type of stuff down here, man. New Orleans, look, we know that we're not the greatest city in the world. We know that New Orleans is not the greatest city in the world. But what we would argue is that there is no culture in any United States city better than New Orleans, Louisiana. And what we love, what all we ask for is when players can embrace that culture, man, you're like a god amongst us. Because look, we're all just regular Joe Blows trying to make it, right? You know, these Saints players and Pelicans players and all these athletes and celebrities in New Orleans, they obviously live a bit higher above us. So what we really appreciate is when they intertwine themselves in the community, that they show us that they're one of us. When we see them complain about the potholes, we feel that. When we see them coming out in the communities, going to the Mardi Gras parades, we feel that. When we see them giving out to nonprofits and local kids around the community, we feel that because this shit means more down here, okay? You could go be a star in New York and be on Broadway. You could go to LA and be on Rodeo Drive. You can go live all the glitz and glamour. But down here, this shit means more. The love you get from a city like New Orleans goes way further than you can get from a city like Los Angeles or a city like New York. So why do Saints fans get so sentimental about Jameis? Why are Saints fans so kind of sad about Jameis leaving us for Pittsburgh Steelers? Because he showed us that it meant more to him. He showed us that he embraced our culture. He tried and he wanted to be one of us, and he succeeded at that. Maybe he didn't succeed at being the best quarterback, but he succeeded at being one of us, and that's all we ask for. That's all we ask for as a community. Now, granted, don't get me wrong. We love when the players are actually playing real well. We love top of the level play. We love elite play. We love great all-pro play. We love that. That's another way you can definitely win out also. We love win. Wins cure everything. No, I'm not dumb. You know, if Derek Carr was doing the same shit that he's doing now, he's not really in the community, which is fine. It's his prerogative. I'm not bashing him for that, but he had us at 11-6 last year and had us in the second round of the playoffs. You would have no ill will from the Saints fans because we love winning too. Don't get it wrong. In New Orleans, we love winners. But goddamn, do we love people who embrace our city. Goddamn, we love people who embrace our culture. And that's what Jameis did. His shit means more down here, man. His shit means more down here. So when you ask any Bucs fans, or when you see actually any Bucs fans or Falcons fans or whatnot asking, well, what the hell are Saints fans so damn sentimental about Jameis freaking Winston? Just tell them, because this shit more than the game. Just tell them that this shit more than the game. And Jameis Winston is a bona fide, guaranteed, certified, this shit more than the game Hall of Famer. We thank you, Jameis, for everything you did for the city of New Orleans. Once again, they say if you love New Orleans will love you back. Well, Jameis Winston loved New Orleans. And you damn well better believe New Orleans loved Jameis Winston back. Good luck, Jameis. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Jono Barnes Show, where this shit more than a stream.
Perfect.
Man, I'm all tongue-tied and whatnot. I say Jameis Winston went to the Pittsburgh Steelers. He actually went to the Cleveland Browns, but that's just because there's so much NFL free agency frenzy going on right now that I can't keep up. All I know is that Jameis Winston sadly will no longer, which we all predicted, but that doesn't make the pain any more less severe. Jameis Winston will not be a New Orleans Saint in 2024. There's a lot of people changing places, man. What it's called, changing places, trading phases, whatever it's called. There's a lot of free agent frenzy going on in the NFL right now. So that's what we're going to do tonight on the Jono Barnes Show. We're going to talk about all of the free agency frenzy fallout. And actually, man, I had this very funny meme ready to go because our New Orleans Saints, by the way, if any non-Saints fans are watching, it definitely helps to be a Saints fan to watch this stream. However, you can be a fan of all teams and enjoy the Jono Barnes Show. But I had this funny damn meme ready to go out, which I put it on Twitter earlier last night. But, you know, all the breaking news we saw, well, that was the Saints, all right? That was our Saints signing absolutely Nobody until the past hour. That's the beauty of free agency. The New Orleans Saints signed, folks, Willie Gay of the Kansas City Chiefs to a 1-year deal, which is up to $5 million with $3 million guaranteed. Damn good move. We'll talk more about that in a few minutes, but the Saints have finally done something, right? And we'll talk about how do we feel about the Saints free agency and their approach right now to free agency. We're going to talk about a lot of things, man. We're going to talk about, for a little bit, Michael Thomas, of course, definitely probably not being a New Orleans Saint. A lot of things to talk about. But first off, what y'all got to do, man, y'all know how we start off every show. If you are in the YouTube chat, please leave a "this shit more than the game" in the chat right now so we can get the vibes off. Because right now, my vibes are real low right now with Jameis being gone. The Willie Gay signing makes me feel a little better, but leave a "this shit more than the game" in the chat right now so we get the show started off on the right foot. And don't forget, folks, we got some big things coming up here on the Jono Barnes Show. Y'all already know. I've announced it already. I will announce it yet again. This weekend, Erik McCoy will be coming to the This Shit More Than the Game studios for an exclusive interview. Now, this interview is not going to be live. We're going to pre-record it because we're going to want to do some editing and whatnot. But next week for sure, I can't promise you guys a date. I'm leaning towards Wednesday. I'm thinking we're going to have him. We're going to premiere the video. We're going to do a live premiere too. So I'm going to be in the chat. Ziggy might be in the chat. By the way, Ziggy and all the crew are not available tonight. So y'all got Jono Barnes solo. I know you guys are doing cartwheels about that. But we're all going to be in a live chat so you guys can watch the live premiere of his interview with us. This is going to be major, folks. Let me tell you something. I'm not trying to act like I'm some big deal. I'm not trying to act like I'm doing McCoy a favor, right? Obviously, McCoy is doing me the biggest favor in the world. Some monumental type shit. But I will say this. What I just said in the opening ode that I did to Jameis Winston. One thing we love here in New Orleans is we love players that embrace our culture. I'm not saying Jono Barnes is the culture of the city of New Orleans. Please don't try to misquote me on that. But what I am saying is this. When fans see Erik McCoy, not just any old Saints player, a Saints Pro Bowl player, a team captain, when they see him pulling up to the This Shit More Than the Game studio, which is my crib, this upcoming weekend, and they see that, I guarantee you that man's fanfare in the city is going to go another level because we love that shit. Like I said, man, this shit means more down here. Now, look, I'm not gonna say this is the first time in history that we've ever had or that a player has ever done a fan podcast. Absolutely not. I'm sure it's been done hundreds and thousands of times. I will say this. I could be wrong, and I'm sure I'm not the first, but I'm pretty sure there's not been a lot of NFL players who have pulled up to a fan's crib, a fan's house in New Orleans East, mind you. An NFL player, a Pro Bowl player, not just like the 52nd man on the squad, a Pro Bowl player putting up to a fan's house to do a podcast interview. That's some monumental shit, folks. I'm not trying to pat my back. I'm more so trying to pat Erik McCoy on the back. That's some legendary shit, man. That is some game-changing shit that we are trying to do here on the Jono Barnes Show and here in New Orleans. It will be a Saints player. It will be a Saints player to be one of the first players ever to pull up to a fan. You see NFL players and NBA players and all that, MLB players, they pull up to like studios to do fan podcasts. You see them do Zoom interviews. Erik McCoy is willing to pull up to my crib, the This Shit More Than the Game studios, to come kick it with me and the crew. That's some This Shit More Than the Game energy, man. That's what we love about New Orleans Saints players. That's why This Shit More Than the Game, I'm telling you, that's going to make Erik McCoy such more. And I'm not trying to sound cocky. That is, he could do it with anybody. He could do it with Joe Blow down the street. He's doing it with Jono Barnes, and I'm very grateful. But what I'm saying is that is some monumental, amazing shit, man, for Erik McCoy, a Pro Bowl player, a Saints team captain, to say, I'm going to pull up to your crib, Jono, and let's kick it. That's what we love in New Orleans, man. That's why this shit more than the game. And it's going to be a monumental episode. And I really, really hope everybody on Twitter, everybody on Twitch, everybody on YouTube, and everybody on Facebook, make sure that they make it an appointment viewing when we debut that interview next week to watch that, because that is some historic shit, some game-changing shit. And I'm honored, and I'm very excited. I'm very nervous, to be honest. Transparently, I'm very nervous to have the distinct honor of having a Saints Pro Bowl player in my crowd. Again, I don't get starstruck. I was a ball boy for the Pelicans for 13 years. I've seen damn near every NBA All-Star, every NBA Hall of Famer legend you can think of. I appreciate greatness. I appreciate these amazing, out of these world athletes, but I don't get starstruck. But what I will be struck on this upcoming weekend when we actually film it is that, an NFL player, all Pro Bowl center, a team captain, is coming to my crib. Like, that is some game-changing shit, not just in New Orleans, but in the world of content creation, if you ask me. Maybe I'm sounding way too cocky. Maybe I am. But that is some monumental shit when you got players. That shit was unthinkable in the 2000s, in the 90s, in the 80s. An NFL player putting up to a fan's crib to kick it and do interviews with. I'm not media. I'm not traditional media. I'm not new school media. But an NFL player putting up to your crib to come and do a podcast, that is some monumental historical shit. And it is only right that shit happens on the Jono Barnes Show, where this shit more than a game. And in the city of New Orleans, where we damn sure know this shit more than a game. So all I ask is that you guys, y'all help me build this platform to get to the point where a Saints Pro Bowl player will want to come up to my crib and kick it with me and my fellas and ask, talk football, talk life. We're going to have a damn good time. It's going to be a fun conversation. Y'all know my content. It ain't going to be no goddamn Barbara Walter 60 Minutes type interview. We're going to have a damn good time with Erik McCoy. Make sure y'all get to learn a lot more about him. Y'all help me get to this point where he will be willing to do it. All I ask is that next week, if there's any episode of the Jono Barnes Show you ever wanted to watch, next week needs to be the week. Whenever we debut it, I promise you guys I'm going to give you more than enough heads up of when I'm going to actually premiere it. I'm leaning towards Wednesday, but I'm going to give you guys at least a 24-hour notice so you guys can set it on your schedule. So when we do a live premiere, you guys are in that chat with me, rocking with it. Because what this interview can possibly do is set us up to do way more monumental interviews with other Saints players, other Pelicans players, other New Orleans legends. Let's go outside the Louisiana bubble. I'm talking about all around the world, man. Some monumental shit. And you guys are the foundation of helping me build that. So all I ask is that next week, because I know that the goddamn numbers have been down on YouTube a bit, and I'm not mad at it. I get it's the offseason. It's the offseason. I knew the numbers were going to go down. But next week, if this shit is more than a game to y'all will join us live for the Erik McCoy interview when we debut it, okay? And all that to say, I appreciate the hell out of each and every single one of you guys. I appreciate all 30 people watching on YouTube right now. And I appreciate over 200 people. I don't know how these Twitter numbers are doing what they're doing, but thank you to everybody who's been watching on Twitter the past few weeks, man. Twitter has been doing the damn thing. It makes sense I got the most followers of all my platforms on Twitter. But either way, whether you're on Twitter, whether you're on Twitch, or whether you're on Facebook, or whether you're on YouTube, all I ask is for one favor. What's up, Jono Barnes Show community? Look, it's real simple. I just need y'all to hit that like button, and if you're new to the show, that subscribe button in 3 seconds to make this referee sad. 3, 2, 1. All right, so with it just being me on the show, I'm going to need the chat room to step their game up tonight and help me out a bit as well. I don't have any of my co-hosts to piggyback off of. So what we're going to do tonight is we're going to talk about at least the major free agency moves that happened. Of course, we're going to talk about what the Saints have done or haven't done so far. But I want to know in the comments, whenever I go through all of these players, just give me your opinion, and I'll be more than happy to highlight a few of them. It absolutely helps if you guys will leave a super chat because, again, all of the super chats that we get, we invest right back into the show. So I'll even show y'all full frontal how that's going to happen. When you watch the Erik McCoy interview next week and you see this top-of-the-line equipment that I had to invest in, that was because you guys helped me out with all those super chats. So I promise you guys, whether it's a $2.83 super chat, whether it's a $5 super chat, whether it's a $20 super chat, every super chat helps because everything we do, we want to invest right back into the show so that we can get you guys more guests like Erik St. John. Yes, you know that. Shout out to my guy St. John. Right, hold on, let me put up the comment while I'm trying to moderate and produce it. Look, y'all, I'm going to let y'all know right now, especially I'm sure my platform's going to get a little bigger and bigger with each special guest I get. Sometimes I say a lot of words and meanings and phrases that don't make no damn sense. Just rock along with me, okay? Just rock along with me. I promise you guys, in my head, it makes sense. But there's going to be some times where you're like, he really just said that? Just ignore it. Just ignore it. Shout out to my guy, St. John Butler. But every super chat helps, guys. So please, if you have any spare change, don't be afraid to give me a super chat. Actually, in fact, I made a nice little not only did I give an ode to Jameis on my show opener, but I made a nice tribute video to Jameis Winston that I would be happy to play right now on the show or at some point during the show. However, I do know that if I play the video, the NFL is going to copyright strike me. So I'm going to need at least like 2 or 3 super chats if y'all want me to play it so I can at least, combat the NFL taking whichever money I might possibly make from this stream, because they're going to say, oh, you're using our highlights. You can't do that. Now it's our money. The NFL is the most greediest corporation out there. But I did make, either way, if you want to see the nice tribute video that I did for Jameis Winston, you can always go on my Twitter at Jono Barnes to see it. But I would be more than happy to play it here, but I would need at least 1 or 2 super chats to offset the money that I will lose from playing it, because the NFL is going to say, oh, that's our copyright material. All your views and money and ad revenue from this video, it comes to us. Thank you. All right, so I see we already got some comments about NFL free agency in the chat. So I'm going to try my best again, y'all. I'm solo dodo tonight, so I don't have Ziggy to moderate the chat for me. So I'm trying to keep up with the chat while giving my opinion on the show. But I do know we all have some good opinions about the NFL free agency so far. So let's start off what I would argue is probably the biggest free agency move of the offseason. Is probably going to be a lot of hype that comes with it for the team that we hate the most, and that is the Atlanta Falcons. And we all see it. We all see it. Kirk Cousins, the Atlanta Falcons signed Kirk Cousins. Now, I have 2 thoughts on this. Thought number 1, I appreciate that no matter who the Falcons sign, the Saints fans are always going to do their best to shit on it, right? And maybe I displayed a lot of this shit more than the game energy when the announcement happened, because, I saw all the Saints fans were like, oh, well, he's just another Derek Carr, yada, yada, yada. And I was like, guys, I hate to break the news to you, but Kirk Cousins, and I'm not trying to say he's a great player, but Kirk Cousins is a better quarterback than Derek Carr. Now, that goes to my second point. Is Kirk Cousins a better quarterback than Derek Carr at 36 years old coming off a torn Achilles? That is going to be the key. And I hope, and I know you all hope, that it turns into yet another, the Falcons are going to Falcon type thing where it winds up being one of the worst contracts of all time. We can only hope. But let's just say in an unperfect world, Kirk Cousins returns to his form. He's a good quarterback. He's damn sure better than Derek Carr, and he is probably going to be enough, in my opinion, if he comes back to his peak, I'm not saying he will, to get the Atlanta Falcons to the playoffs. We can hate all we want. I know he's a Falcon. Absolutely. I want y'all to hate on him. That's why this shit more than the game. But in a bubble, in a vacuum, whatever you want to say, don't call me out on that, St. John and Clarissa. I think it's a good signing because Kirk Cousins is a good quarterback. What I am interested to see yet again is that he is 36 years old. He's not as athletic as some of these other quarterbacks that were able to play into the late. I mean, hell, Aaron Rodgers is one of the most athletic quarterbacks of all time, and he's struggling in old age to, get back from injury. We are going to see if Kirk Cousins can return at 36 years old from an Achilles injury. I will say this. I much would have rather the Falcons sign, and we got a Falcons fan in the chat right now. He's saying we're not falconing now. Yeah, but we're going to see if y'all going to be falconing in September and October. I mean, hey, shout out to the Falcons fans. Get y'all hype up. Y'all going to do the same thing that we did last offseason. We talked ourselves into Derek Carr, even though we knew who Derek Carr was, and we got that humble pie in October and November. I feel like y'all might do the same thing, but we'll see. The NFC South is so bad. I'm not saying I think the Falcons are like some scary team, but I also don't feel like the Bucs or the Saints and damn sure not the Panthers are good enough that I'm saying, no, the Falcons can't win a division. I don't think they're going to be a Super Bowl team with Kirk Cousins, but I do think that he still might be good enough to lead them to an NFC South championship, because all it takes is probably, yet again, in 2024, 9 wins to do it. So we'll see. But I will say this. I would much rather Kirk Cousins. I would much rather Kirk Cousins than them getting Jaden Daniels for sure. That would have been a nightmare. Like an LSU Heisman quarterback playing for the Falcons. Thank God we ain't got to worry about that. Thank God we ain't got to worry about that. And I think I would actually prefer Kirk Cousins over Justin Fields. Don't get me wrong. Kirk Cousins has had a way better career and a way better peak than Justin Fields. But Fields is younger. Fields still has that untapped potential that you can talk yourself into. I would think that I would be a little bit more optimistic about the future for the Falcons if they had Justin Fields with Bijan Robinson than I would with a 36-year-old quarterback coming off an Achilles injury. But we'll see. I think in the short term, it can do good things for the Atlanta Falcons where they might be able to finally get a playoff win, which the bar is so low in the NFC South right now. That's probably all the full front offices in the NFC South care about. It's like, let's just make the goddamn playoffs and get an extra week of a payday for our franchise. But I don't see any like long-term success with this at all. And I'm hoping as a 100% number one certified Falcons hater that the move blows up in the Falcons' face. And knowing the history of their franchise, it just might. We got a super chat. That's why my dog always answers the call when I ring a bell. From my dude, Brute Saint. Now, Brute Saint, I'm sorry, Ziggy's not on the show tonight, so we can't do this shit more than some air horns. But just imagine Ziggy playing the air horns right now. And Brute Saint says, Kirk Cousins will make us. Oh, wow. So he's actually on the negative side of this. Kirk Cousins will make us look foolish. He has a younger, more explosive offense, and now a better O-line. Now it's down to coaching, just like us. Yeah, I do think the Falcons have a decent core. I'm not 100% sold on Drake London being a star, but I do think he's a good receiver. Kyle Pitts has been one of those, he's got all the potential in the world for like the past 4 years. At this point, I'm like, you either got it or you don't. But we'll see now that he has Kirk Cousins if he can finally live up to that potential. But we all know that Bijan Robinson is definitely a star. So, the Falcons' mindset, and Terry Fontenot is the Falcons GM. He comes from the school of Mickey Loomis, so I'm not surprised that he's like, let me sign a quarterback who's been there, who's done it. I don't mind paying him a lot of money because an average quarterback can be just enough in this division to lead my team to the playoffs. So, Bruce Saint, I'm not saying I disagree with you. I'm not strongly agreeing with you. Dennis Adams in the chat. Dennis Adams, I know your rich ass can afford a super chat or two. All the money you stealing from us. I'm kind of in the middle, Bruce, saying again, I do think that because I'm just so down on the NFC South as a whole, eventually somebody in the NFC South got to step up and like become a good team again. I know Bucs fans are going to get mad at me and say, we are a good team. Yeah, I mean, me and the Bucs fans, y'all had the same record as us. Y'all made it over us over technicality. Congratulations. I'm so down and just not optimistic about the New Orleans Saints that I do feel like Kirk Cousins, at least next year, can be enough to get them to the playoffs. Now, will he get them to a Super Bowl? Hell no. Not at all, which is all that really matters. As long as the Falcons don't make it to the Super Bowl, I think we're all good with that, especially with it being in New Orleans next year. But I do think that he might be able to lead them to the playoffs. But we'll see. We'll see. Because again, 36-year-old quarterback coming off an Achilles injury, I wouldn't be doing cartwheels over it. That's for damn sure. I appreciate that super chat, Bruce saying. Again, y'all, do not be afraid to send a super chats. We invest every super chat we get right back into the show. And you guys are going to see that firsthand next week when we do the Erik McCoy interview in person. All right, next up, we have another Falcon signing. They got Kirk Cousins some help, and they are signing Darnell Mooney, local legend Darnell Mooney. Darnell Mooney is not a superstar by any means. I'm definitely not. Wow, hold on, y'all. Dennis Adams actually answered the call. I don't want to say this out of my mouth. I can't believe I have to say this, but Dennis Adams, right now, you are this shit more than a game certified. And he said that to read that twice before I say it out loud. Jono is the reason why I apologize to Arthur Smith. Why would I be the reason? I should be the exact opposite. When I was the first one to call it out, when you apologize to Arthur Smith, because I saw you apologizing at midfield when y'all were shaking hands, and the fans on Twitter were so damn excited about us running the score up on the Falcons that they had missed it. And I was the first one to call it out. I was like, y'all, did y'all see what Dennis Adams just told Arthur Smith at midfield? And then he doubled down on it. He doubled down on it at the press conference. So you must be high off the Willie Gay signing right now, Dennis Adams. Or you must be watching a different show, because you damn sure wasn't motivated by me to apologize to Arthur Smith. Hell no, that's definitely not this shit more than the game energy where I come from. But Darnell Mooney, I do think it's a good sign. He actually would be a sign that if he had signed with the Saints, I would have been excited about. Is he a Pro Bowl wide receiver? Not at all. Is him and Drake London a wide receiver core that's going to make you shake in your boots? Not at all. But, with Bijan Robinson obviously going to probably take most of the touches in Atlanta next season for the next few seasons, having a wide receiver core of Darnell Mooney, Drake London with Kyle Pitts, that's pretty talented. So I do think that's a pretty solid move by the Atlanta Falcons. Again, no move that's like making anybody should feel like, oh, that's definitely a Super Bowl contender next year. But a move that you could say, and I hate to say this out of my mouth, but yeah, absolutely. I appreciate my dog Ziggy being in the chat right now, even though he couldn't join us live tonight. However, Ziggy will be with me for the Erik McCoy interview next week. And so, again, y'all definitely got to watch out for that. I do think the Falcons are making some solid moves that, again, when the bar is so low in the NFC South that 9 wins is probably going to be yet again all it takes for any team to win a division, they're doing just enough to probably be a contender in the NFC South. By the way, folks, not only do we got Erik McCoy coming to the show this weekend, this Saturday is 3/16. So in honor of that, y'all see I got the Stone Cold Steve Austin Broken Skull IPA. So shout out to everybody who's celebrating 3/16 this Saturday. Celebrate responsibly and leave Stone Cold Steve Austin out some beer and some cookies on Friday night for 3/16 Eve. Because Stone Cold said so. All right. We got some crazy comments in the chat that I don't even want to recognize because I saw one that's like, whatever. All right. Next up, speaking of those goddamn Bucs, hold on. I went too fast. The Buccaneers agreed to sign Mayfield to a long-term contract, and essentially Mayfield is now getting paid almost as much as what Derek Carr got. Now, I think Mayfield was very solid for the Bucs last year. I think he's again, it feels like the whole NFC South besides Bryce Young, it's just like quarterbacks that you feel like, okay, if we set him up with enough pieces, he can do enough to get us 9-10 wins and win a division. Like, we're definitely not in championship or bust mode for any of the 4 NFC South teams right now. So a good move and an obvious move by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Baker Mayfield whooped our ass in October, I believe it was, and then we whooped his ass in January. So we're even with him right now. I saw Alontae Taylor actually laughing and applauding at the move, which I actually appreciated because we have absolutely no reason whatsoever to talk trash to the Bucs fans. They've won a division 3 straight years. We shouldn't be able to say shit to them. They got a Super Bowl over us the past decade. And yeah, we still talk shit to them. And I love that. That's some good this shit more than the game energy. I like Alontae Taylor. I'm glad that some of our players still have that this shit more than the game energy, even though sometimes it makes absolutely no sense. The trash talk that we talk about when this team has been essentially whooping our ass the past few years as far as championships and division banners. But good move for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. It's the market is the market. I saw Sam Darnold got paid $10 million, I believe. Like, you can be a bust. You can be a bust at NFL quarterback and still get the lowest bar of $10 million guaranteed. God damn, that's the best position. If you have a son, I was about to say a daughter. I don't think they let women play football anytime soon. If you have a son who wants to play football, man, you better show him how to throw that football, because even if you are a bad quarterback, you can still get $10 million. Baker Mayfield is definitely not a bad quarterback. So the contract is definitely something that the Buccaneers had to do because of what the quarterback market is. And he's a good quarterback. So good signing for the Buccaneers. Doesn't make me any more scared of them than I was last year. Again, we and the Buccaneers had and we also got Derek Carr. Now, Derek, I know you can afford like a $1 or a $2.83 super chat with all the money you are also stealing from. All right, I ain't gonna say stealing. I like Derek Carr. I'm actually one of the few people who still like Derek Carr. I just like getting my jokes off. But I'm not scared of the Bucs because I feel like we're still about what with them. The only thing that the Bucs have over us right now is they have way better coaching, which is why they're usually able to make it to the playoffs by a game over us. Now, I was going to make jokes about the Saints not doing anything in free agency, but that would be outdated because the Saints about an hour and a half ago signed Kansas City Chief linebacker Willie Gay. I like this move. It's not going to be a move that, swings the pendulum any type of way about us winning the division or us being a bad team, but he is good depth. He's very speedy, which we need a lot more speed players on this goddamn defense with our aging ass defense. And I just think he's going to be motivated. He's on a 1-year deal. We got him for pretty cheap for NFL terms, $3 million guaranteed, up to $5 million if he meets his incentives. I like the move. I like the move a lot. I mean, I never want to, because you always set people up for failure when you try to compare them to like the best signings of all time. But I remember Demario Davis was like an unknown player when we signed him, and he wound up being one of the best Saints linebackers of all time. So I'm not saying that's going to be Willie Gay's ceiling with us, but I'm saying I do think he can definitely provide us some valuable plays this year on defense. And for that contract, it's very good. It brings me to the Saints offseason so far. I know a lot of fans are very, I don't know if I want to say upset, but, just obviously unenthused because shout out to Derek Carr for the $2 super chat. Hey, he's rich, so $2 to him is like -5 cents. Like, there's no big deal for him. So I appreciate you, Derek Carr. Your money's going to definitely go to good use when we interview Erik McCoy this weekend. I'm not mad at the Saints' approach. I'm joking about it on Twitter, but I'm not mad at it. I mean, we can't have it both ways, Saints fans. Is it Uchi Wally Wally or is it one Mike, right? Like, we can't be like, oh, we need this team to blow up. I'm tired of Dennis Allen. We're not going to do anything with Dennis Allen, and then turn around and say, why are we not signing nobody? Well, if we don't think that Dennis Allen is shit, then why would we want to keep investing in big contracts for players that we feel like ain't going to succeed with Dennis Allen as the head coach? So I like this Saints approach of, we're there in the top of the market, play itself out, and we're going bargain shopping, folks. Some teams are shopping at Coach. Some teams are shopping at Chanel. We shopping at Walmart this offseason. We're probably going to be shopping at Walmart for another offseason or two with our cap situation. But I'm okay with that. I've been asking for this for a while. If you're not going to rebuild, at least do a bit of a soft reset, right? Like, we got to let some of these contracts play out so that we can eventually, it would be nice. Like, I love dunking on the cap nerds. I love that salary cap doesn't matter. But when you're not in the championship window, I am open to saying, okay, maybe we should let some of these contracts play out. Maybe we should eat some of this goddamn dead space so that we can have eventually a off season in like maybe 2026, 2027, where we finally do have cap space to maybe set ourselves up for whatever the future looks like for the New Orleans Saints in 2027. But I like that we are going bargain shopping this offseason. And even if that means it's going to be a boring, unenthusiastic offseason for Saints fans, it is what it is. It is what it is, folks. We can't have it both ways. We can't want to be all in every offseason and then be like, oh, we got to fire Dennis Allen. We got to fire everybody. Well, the more we are all in the offseason, that means the more all in that the front office is going to have to be on Dennis Allen and crew. So I am okay 100% with just playing the bargain shopping game right now. And I think Woody Gay is a damn good signing as a bargain shop player for the money that we got for him or that we're paying him compared to the production that we should get from Willie Gay this season. Good move, Saints. Good move. There's actually another move that the Saints are probably trying to make that we'll talk about in a little bit. But next up, we got the Carolina Panthers. One of their first big moves was that they traded Brian Burns to the New York Giants. They actually got a second-round pick and I believe a fifth-round pick back for it. Horrible. Thank God for the Panthers. I don't know what that front office is doing. They always make decent free agency signings, but the Los Angeles Rams, folks, offered the Carolina Panthers 2 first-round picks. I'm not stuttering when I say this. The Los Angeles Rams, I believe it was 2 years ago now, they offered, maybe it was 3 years ago, they offered the Carolina Panthers 2 first-round picks for Brian Burns. I remember when that report came out, I was like, well, Brian Burns is a good player, but goddamn, he's definitely not no 2 first-round type player. I mean, I reserved that for the Nick Bosa's, right? Like, the superstars, the J.J. Watts in his prime. Okay, those are worthy of multiple first-round picks. Not Brian Burns, but apparently the Carolina Panthers were like, oh, no, we got to keep Brian Burns, even though our franchise is clearly going on a downfall. We got to keep Brian Burns. And now look what happened. They had another shitty season. They lost the number 1 pick because they traded it to the Chicago Bears for a quarterback who has not looked very impressive so far. We'll see how he looks this year with a new coaching staff yet again for the Carolina Panthers. And now they had to settle for a second and a fifth-round pick for Brian Burns when they could have had 2 first-round picks 2 years ago. The Panthers had so much set up to be like really in a position to like run amok with the NFC South for the next decade, and they have botched the absolute shit out of it. And I am so grateful. I am so grateful for the Carolina Panthers. I still don't see any pathway for success for them because unless Bryce Young becomes a superstar, then all this other stuff doesn't mean shit. And I just don't see Bryce Young ever being a star. I'm not going to hope I'm wrong. I have nothing against Bryce Young, but the game is the game. You wearing red and black, you wearing North Carolina blue and black, or you wearing pewter and red, I got to be a hater. So as long as Bryce Young doesn't live up to the hype, then I don't see what the Panthers can do to fix the mess that they're in. And now they have to trade away one of their best players for way less than what they could have got. Sometimes when you get that first offer, you got to take it. I know you want to play the negotiation game and maybe we could get more for him in the future. Nope. Now you're messed up. And now the Giants got him much more cheaper than what the Rams would have paid for him some 2 years ago. Shout out to the Carolina Panthers. And speaking of the Carolina Panthers, they also traded for Deontay Johnson. Deontay Johnson is kind of in that Darnell Mooney category. Not a game, maybe a bit of a game changer, but not like a superstar. Not a guy who you ever think would be a Pro Bowl wide receiver, but definitely a good wide receiver who's going to make a lot of big plays. Probably going to make a few big plays on us. He's a good, speedy wide receiver. He's definitely going to be very helpful for Bryce Young. But again, it all comes back to, is Bryce Young going to take that leap? Because, we saw, especially in the league that stands for not for long, where right away C.J. Stroud came in last year and looked like a goddamn superstar, where Bryce Young looked atrocious. I didn't see much of anything to hang my hat on, like, oh, Bryce Young is going to be more than fine. You saw the potential. I didn't even see the potential. And I sound like I'm like hating on the kid. I'm trying not to. I've got nothing against him personally, but he's a Carolina Panther, so I gotta keep this shit more than the game strong, energy strong. But Deontay Johnson is a good pickup for the Carolina Panthers. However, I still don't see it moving the needle any or which way to help them become a contender again. I just don't. I could be wrong, though. I could be wrong. All right. And after this, we have Zach Bond. So I'm a bit surprised by this. One, I'm surprised that he signed for as cheap as he signed for. But I will say this. I think Willie Gay is a much better player than Zach Bond. So now I'm not necessarily shedding tears over this. But y'all saw on the show last week, all of us who were on the show last week talked about how we prefer to keep Zach Bond because we don't have much pass rush help right now anyway. So let's keep him and keep somebody who can at least get pressure on a quarterback. Well, the Eagles came and got him for a pretty cheap contract too. I believe he signed also for $4 million, which is $1 million more than what Willie Gay signed for. And I think Willie Gay is a much better player than Zach Bond. So Zach Bond is going to the Philadelphia Eagles. I'm not going to say one of the worst draft picks for Saints history, but definitely one of the most underwhelming Saints picks of all time. And not at the fault of Zach Bond. It's like we drafted a guy whose specialty is rushing a quarterback. And then we say, hey, why don't you play linebacker and play in coverage? Sometimes it feels like the coaching staff, and this is on not just Dennis Allen, and I guess more so Dennis Allen, he's the defensive coordinator too. But Sean Payton, like, why are we drafting these players if we don't really have a proper vision for them? Like Zach Bond, I'm not saying he was going to be a superstar, but he could have been a much better player for us. And when we finally unleashed him this past season and said, you know what, Zach Bond, just do what you do best. Go rush the goddamn quarterback. He had his best season. So why did it take us 4 years to finally play him to his specialty? It's going to be one of the more questionable draft picks of all time. And the crazy thing is we actually tried to trade up even more. Like we tried to go up to the first round, if y'all remember, to draft Zach Bond. Thank God all the other teams saying no. We actually, Sean Payton wanted to draft up in the first round to get Zach Bond. Can you imagine if we traded up in the first round for Zach Bond? I think the Saints aren't as bad as a drafting team as a lot of fans hype themselves up to be. I feel like if you look at all 32 teams, the Saints are actually one of the better teams when it comes to drafting. But goddamn, have we had some misses the past few years, including Zach Bond and including Trevor Penny. Like, we got to do better. So this is a huge draft for us, by the way, too, because if we are going to go on this bargain shopping approach for free agency, we got to hit it out the park with the draft class this year. We got to get some impact players in the draft this year. We can't be doing all this crazy shit. Like sometimes it felt like Sean Payton was just drinking wine and saying, nah, get that play. He was just having fun with it. Like, we got Drew Brees, we got all the talent in the world. We can have fun with it. Nah, man, we got to get some studs on this defense and offensive line this draft, man, because we can't be wasting picks anymore on projects, I guess, like Zach Bond and Trevor Penny, and all that shit doesn't set our franchise back, man. So good luck to Zach Bond in Philadelphia. Knowing now, like every time a player leaves us to go to Philadelphia, they come to become a all-pro. So knowing now, like Zach Bond going to have an elite year next year, but we'll worry about that when it comes. All right, next up, this is also probably the second biggest move in the NFL free agency, and that is Russell Wilson is signing with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Not Jameis Winston. I kept saying the Steelers in my opening soliloquy to Jameis Winston. I meant to say Jameis was signing with the Browns. Russell Wilson is signing with the Pittsburgh Steelers. I don't think Russell Wilson had as bad of a year. And my dude, Brood Saint said, don't draft developmental guys, draft develop guys. I'm 100% on you with that, Brood Saint. I'm absolutely 100% on you with that. I'm gonna try to highlight the guys who left a super chat earlier. That's what leaving a super chat does, folks. You get your comments, multiple comments highlighted. Dennis Allen said, well, he's just talking trash to another fan in the comments. So anyways, Russell Wilson signing with the Pittsburgh Steelers. He should obviously be the starter. I definitely think Russell Wilson is a better quarterback than Kenny Pickett. I don't think Russell Wilson was as bad as fans hyped him up to be last year. Now, 2 years ago, yeah, Russell Wilson was horrible. I was like, God damn, is he past his prime? He absolutely is past his prime, by the way, but he's definitely not falling off a cliff either. And it seems like Sean Payne was never really 100% all in on Russell Wilson for whatever reason, which shocked me because honestly, when Sean Payne was a head coach and Russell Wilson put out that list some 3-4 years ago where he was like, I don't mind being traded if it's to the Saints or to the Bears or to whatever. I was like, Sean Payne, you should be doing cartwheels if we could get Russell Wilson. But for whatever reason, it seems like Sean Payne just has his type at quarterback, and guys like Russell Wilson or Jameis Winston just doesn't fit what he wants in a quarterback. So obviously, you're not going to get the Russell Wilson of the Seattle Seahawks days anymore, but he's definitely should be enough to get Michael Tomlin to continue his streak of never having a losing record. Like I can see Russell Wilson giving the Steelers at least 9 wins. I think it's a solid move. It's not something to be celebrating on, but the crazy thing is this. The Steelers are only paying Russell Wilson like, I think $2 million, and the Broncos are essentially playing Russell Wilson $38 million or whatever the number was to play for the Pittsburgh Steelers. So that makes me go to another topic. Why in the blue hell did Sean Payton leave us to go do a rebuild project in Denver? Motherfucker, you could have did that in New Orleans with us. So why in the hell did you? I can see if you went to Los Angeles. It's Los Angeles, right? You got Justin Herbert. You got the young quarterback that you love. You're in Los Angeles every day. Why in the hell would you leave us to go to Denver to rebuild and to pay a quarterback $38 million to not play on your team? Is the weed that good in Denver, Sean? Is the weed that good? That's one of the most questionable. There's got to be some behind-the-scenes shit because there's absolutely no way you leave New Orleans to go to Denver to do what you said you was trying not to do in New Orleans, which is rebuild. But that's for another show. Shout out to my girl Sandra. Sandra is for sure this shit more than a game certified. I appreciate it. And Sandra, I got all the love in the world for you, Sandra, and for your sister Sonia. And she says Sonia and I are sending you and the whole This Shit More Than the Game community, and probably my cause as well, some This Shit More Than the Game support. I appreciate you, Sandra. I'm still mad at you a little bit, Sandra. You still haven't taken a photo of you rocking your This Shit More Than the Game show yet, because I know you rocking that thing with swag. But I appreciate you, Sandra. And Sandra, I know you're going to be very, very excited to see Saints Pro Bowl and team captain player Erik McCoy rocking with me and Ziggy and a whole crew this upcoming weekend, and we're going to debut it next week. And it's because of people like you, Sandra. I thank you from the bottom of my heart. It's your investment into my show, into this community, is why we got Saints players willing to pull up to the crib to rock with us. So, Sandra, not that I need to tell you, but you are for sure This Shit More Than the Game certified. You and your sister Sonia. Shout out to y'all, too. All right, next up, we have... Oh, this is a big one. This actually was just announced about an hour ago. Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. And Ziggy, let me just verify what Ziggy said. Sandra, Ziggy definitely is on board with the Sandra fan club. Sandra and Sonia, y'all are definitely some real ones. Chauncey Gardner-Johnson is signing with the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, I just find this move hilarious because Chauncey Gardner-Johnson talked so much shit about the Eagles organization and to the Philadelphia fan. You know how Chauncey Gardner-Johnson is. I mean, he's probably going to talk shit about the Lions now and to their fans. But you know how Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, he talked so much shit to the Eagles fans last year, and now he's back with them. So now him and the Eagles fans, the Eagles fans are rooted. So they were talking shit right back to Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. So now they got a kumbaya together. It was just all, hey, there's some This Shit More Than the Game energy. When you're not rocking my team laundry, it's screw you. But when you're rocking my team's laundry, it's we love you. So Chauncey Gardner-Johnson is going back to the Philadelphia Eagles. The Eagles, after having a horrible post-Super Bowl loss season, they're not playing around, folks. They're not playing around because not only did they sign Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, but they also signed Saquon Barkley. Now, that is an incredible and major move because Saquon is a game changer at running back. And we are going to see if the Eagles can now take the mantle from the Dallas Cowboys and come back at the top of the NFC East. And I see, soon as I mentioned the Philadelphia Eagles, we see Evan, old hating ass, all the way in Dallas talking about some Saints. You need to worry about the Philadelphia Eagles, Evan. You need to worry about the Philadelphia Eagles because I believe now that we made a signing, the Cowboys are the only team so far, unless something's happened while I've gone live, who has not signed a free agent yet. So, I mean, unless you guys are content with not making a Super Bowl every year, y'all better do something, Evan. Y'all better do something because the Eagles ain't playing around. The Eagles are not playing around. Chauncey Gardner-Johnson and Saquon Barkley are definitely two players that can get the Eagles to win a game or two over you guys. So y'all better do something, Cowboys fans, including you, Evan. Y'all better do something because the Eagles look like they definitely saying, we ain't having that type of year again. We ain't definitely having that type of year again. It's going to be interesting to see. Jalen Hurts, Saquon Barkley, that sounds like a damn good combo, right? A.J. Brown, Dallas Goedert. I like the Eagles, y'all. I'm liking what the Eagles are doing. Next up, this is a big one. This name isn't necessarily a household name, but he is a damn force on the defensive line, and that is Christian Wilkins leaving the Miami Dolphins to go to the Las Vegas Raiders. He's probably going to end up being, I think, besides Kirk Cousins, the highest paid free agent signing of this offseason. And he is nobody really knows the defensive line or offensive line, names unless it's like a superstar. But Christian Wilkins is a force. Christian Wilkins is a dog, and that's a huge loss for the Miami Dolphins. A big gain for the Raiders. Do I think it's going to make the Raiders a playoff team? Not yet so far. I still got to see what they do at quarterback. I do like Antonio Pierce. I think Antonio Pierce is going to finally get a culture change that the Las Vegas Raiders severely need. But it starts with signings like this. And Christian Wilkins, get your money, Playboy. Get your money. That was a damn good signing by the Raiders, and you're going to need that. When you got Patrick Mahomes in your division, you need a D-lining of Christian Wilkins and Max Crosby to try to cause hell for Patrick Mahomes. So it's going to be fun to see how Patrick Mahomes is going to be able to work his Houdini magic on Max Crosby and Christian Wilkins. I'm looking forward to those matchups a lot. Next up, the Dolphins. They lost Christian Wilkins, but they gained a safety in Jordan Poyer. Now, Jordan Poyer is a big fan favorite in Buffalo. I don't know if you guys saw, but Buffalo did a whole damn wholesale cleanup this past weekend where they released damn near their whole team. And I don't know what their vision is. I mean, they're in that championship or bust window, so I don't know why they are worried about the cap when they are in a position right now where they should be like, man, fuck the cap. We're going to just keep kicking the can down the road as long as we got Josh Allen in his prime so we can try to freaking get over this Patrick Mahomes hurdle. But they got a different, unique way that they're trying to do it, I guess. And they released a lot of players, including Jordan Poyer. And Poyer said, well, I'm not going to go too far in the division. I'm just going to go right up there to Miami. And Jordan Poyer, again, isn't like some household name, but he's going to be a solid addition to the Miami Dolphins because the Dolphins also lost a lot of players so far in free agency so far. So for them to get a Jordan Poyer type safety is very crucial for them because they are going to – I mean, look, at the end of the day, we're all just trying to play number 2 to the Kansas City Chiefs for as long as I can now live. As long as Patrick Mahomes is healthy, I'm going to say that the Chiefs are the clear-cut favorite because, goddamn, the Chiefs had an average team this year, and they won a Super Bowl. So all of these signings are just basically bells and whistles because we're all playing number 2 for the Kansas City Chiefs. However, the AFC East are the ones who have to play Patrick Mahomes twice a year. So they got to make moves to try to at least compete with Mahomes and the Chiefs. And the Dolphins and the Bills have had some questionable offseason approaches right now to me so far, but the Dolphins did make up for it a little bit by signing Jordan Poyer. And next we have LSU legend Patrick Queen, who is going to the Pittsburgh Steelers. Great move for the Steelers. I mean, Patrick Queen just looks like a player who fits right in with that. I mean, that rugged, Pittsburgh linebacking type of player. I think Patrick Queen is going to be a great, great addition for the Pittsburgh Steelers. The AFC North is going to be a lot of fun this year. The AFC North looks like it's getting back to its peak form when you got the Ravens, you got the Cleveland Browns. I'm drawing a goddamn blank on the other teams. The Steelers, the Ravens, the Browns, good division. Patrick Queen. Looks like the Steelers are saying we're tired of not making the playoffs with Russell Wilson and Patrick Queen, two very needle-moving players that can definitely get the Pittsburgh Steelers back into that AFC North contention. And I can't forget about the Cincinnati Bengals. So you got 4 teams that you can argue are playoff teams in the AFC North. I am very much looking forward to watching the AFC North battle it out this season, especially with the moves that the Steelers have been making so far to try to reclaim their spot as a top dog in the AFC North. Now, talk about a team who's having a hell of an offseason, and they might be arguably having the best offseason of all. And Evan, they might be the best team in Texas right now. You can talk about how the Cowboys built during the draft, something that the Saints don't know about. I don't care. Y'all need to worry about Houston taking over y'all goddamn fan base because Houston is doing the damn thing. One of the moves the Texans have made is they signed Danielle Hunter to a major contract. Man. What DeMeco Ryans is doing out there in Texas is very inspiring because the Texans were a joke for the past decade, damn near. So it shows you, man, you just get one good draft that can really turn your franchise around like the Saints did in 2017. And look how now you got superstar players wanting to go to Texas. You got CJ Stroud, who looks like he's going to be a top 5 quarterback for the next decade. You got a damn good coach in DeMeco Ryans. The Texans are doing the damn thing, y'all. The Texans are doing the damn thing. I can't wait to see what the Texans do next season, man. The Texans are like they are really building because not only did the Texans sign Danielle Hunter, but they also signed or traded for Joe Mixon. The Texans are having a hell of an offseason, folks. The Texans are having a hell of an offseason. I really like what the Texans are doing. That it's early, it's very early, but I'm starting to feel it in my spirit. I'm like, am I going to hype myself up for a CJ Stroud versus Patrick Mahomes AFC Championship game? Because I am really liking what the Houston Texans are doing. And first off, by the way, shout out to my dude, Curse of Dennis Allen on Twitter. I appreciate it when I get some comments on Twitter. Because right now, I have over 300 people watching on Twitter. From the bottom of my heart. Absolutely, guys. Thank you for that. And I like when I get some comments on Twitter as well. So for everybody watching on Twitter, don't be afraid to comment like the dude Curse of Dennis Allen just did. But man, the Texans are doing a damn thing. That's a team that they fan base and they deserve it. After all the shit that they've been through the past decade, they deserve to have some excitement. And I think the Texans are going to be a force next year. I don't think CJ Stroud was a one-year wonder. I think the Texans are going to be a force next year in the AFC. My dude Bruce Saint says Hunter and Mixon. Yacht. I think that's what he's trying to say, right? Maybe he means something else with it. That's how I pronounce it. The Texans are doing the damn thing. Is what Bruce Saint is trying to say. The Texans are doing the damn thing. Sonia asks, can we please stream during the draft this year? I think we are going to do that, Sonia. Honestly, you ain't got to ask me. You got to ask Ziggy and Evan. Those are the ones who only show up to work when they feel like showing up to work. So you got to ask them. But I think we're going to do something for the draft. I don't know yet what exactly it is, but we'll do something special for the draft. As long as you guys tune in. And I appreciate that we got over 40 people watching on YouTube right now. Thank you, YouTube. God damn. I don't know what the hell's been going on with the YouTube numbers the past few weeks. I know it's the off season, but come on, YouTube. Come on, YouTube audience. Is this the this shit more than the game community or not? Is this the this shit more than the game community or not? Let's get them numbers up, man, especially when we got Erik McCoy putting up to the this shit more than the game studios this weekend. All right, next up we have, this was a bit of a shocker, the Packers signing Josh Jacobs. Now, why would the Packers sign Josh Jacobs when they already have a Pro Bowl running back in Aaron Jones? Who knows? Apparently, the scuttlebutt is that they planned on doing running back by committee with Josh Jacobs and Aaron Jones, which would have been a damn good running back committee, probably the best running back committee in the league. But what had happened was, y'all know that. You see what had happened was, well, you see, apparently the Packers didn't do their due diligence and wondering how much of a pay cut was Aaron Jones willing to accept, because Aaron Jones said, well, hell with that, cut me. And he went to the division rival of the Minnesota Vikings. So, yeah, that Packers and Vikings game is going to be must-see TV next season because you got Josh Jacobs going to the Green Bay Packers, and now you got Aaron Jones going to the Minnesota Vikings. And they're both stud running backs. I think, gun to my head, I would say Aaron Jones is a better running back. So I still don't quite. I mean, again, and there's probably so much behind the scenes stuff that hasn't come out yet on what the Packers' logic was. But the scuttlebutt is that the Packers had a game plan or had a vision of Aaron Jones and Josh Jacobs both being a running back duo. But I just can't see that when I feel like if you knew that you wanted a running back duo, you would have consulted with Aaron Jones first and said, hey, by the way, we're probably going to sign Josh Jacobs. Do you mind, maybe taking a pay cut or whatever before we officialize this signing of Josh Jacobs? And I don't know. I'm sure there's going to be an in-depth article about what really happened. But good signing for the Packers. I just don't. I mean, I think Aaron Jones gave you the same thing that Josh Jacobs gave you. So I don't know. But the Packers' loss, I guess, is the Vikings' gain, even though the Vikings don't have a quarterback anymore because they gave up Kirk Cousins to the Falcons. But the Falcons didn't sign Sam Darnold, who is one of the biggest busts in the past few decades. And he got $10 million, which, again, goes back to my overall point is that it pays to be a quarterback in the NFL because you could be a bust and you can still get $10 million. Now, Bruce Saint says that Aaron Jones is too injury prone, so it's a good choice. I know he does have a lot of injuries, but when you got a workhorse back like Josh Jacobs, we'll see how long his shelf life is too, because again, running backs are a very, very discarded position. However, I am very excited for the running backs this year because we talked about this last week. It seems like the running backs are the most, unappreciated position in all of sports. And the running backs been eating good this offseason so far because now you see above me, Austin Eckler signed with the Washington Commanders. Yes, the Washington Commanders are like, hey, don't forget about us. We know that's about the Eagles and the Cowboys and the Giants, but we exist too. So we'll see what Austin Eckler can do in D.C., but my overall opinion about that was like, I'm just glad to see running backs are still able to get some good contracts because it seems like these running backs are just cut, gone, forgotten about. So good for the running backs. Another running back who got paid. I wonder if Evan has a comment on this, if he's still in the chat. The Cowboys. Y'all remember the Cowboys were hyping up Tony Pollard as like this next big thing. And he's similar to Alvin Kamara. Watch what he does when he's the lead back. Well, I guess he didn't do too much because the Tennessee Titans let Tony Pollard go to, the Dallas Cowboys let Tony Pollard go to the Tennessee Titans. And good move. Good move for the Titans. Him and Ty.J. Spears should be a nice little running back duo. Pollard is a solid running back. Definitely not somebody that you fear, but definitely someone that, can do some good things in Tennessee. And there's actually another running back who I forgot to even put on this list, but probably the biggest one. So silly me for forgetting this one. But Derrick Henry is going to the Baltimore Ravens. Now, that is a match made in heaven, in my opinion. Derrick Henry could possibly be, if you catch the Chiefs on a bad day, finally that X factor that gets the Ravens over the hump. Again, my money is always going to be on Patrick Mahomes no matter what from here on out until he retires. But Derrick Henry to the Tennessee Titans is a damn good move. And I think him and Lamar Jackson together can do some damage. So all that to say, the AFC is really continuing to build on that aura of being head and above the NFC. And they haven't done anything in the offseason, especially in the NFC teams, for me to think that the NFC is catching up to the AFC. But my overall thoughts so far on free agency is, one, I'm not going to discard the Kirk Cousins to Atlanta Falcons move, but I do wonder how a 36-year-old quarterback, immobile quarterback at that, comes back from an Achilles injury. Two, I am very happy to see the running backs are still able to get paid in this economy because NFL has been ruthless to running backs the past few years. So I'm glad that damn near all the running back free agents got paid. And for the Saints, I'm glad that we are going bargain shopping. I don't want to be spending all this money to keep winning 9 games. I'm glad that we are being a little bit more financially responsible with our money so that we can eventually get a little bit out of this salary cap hole we are in so that we can eventually one year actually go shop at Chanel or Coach again or Balenciaga instead of having to shop at Walmart or Dollar Tree or Dollar General or Family Dollar or your mom and pop shop down the store. So just be smart, Saints. We ain't got to make no big splash free agency move. Or will we? Because I don't know if you guys have seen the news, but there's a player who might be considered a splash free agent signing for the New Orleans Saints, and that is Chase Young. Yes, folks, reports from Tom Pelissero of NFL Network says free agent pass rusher Chase Young is expected to visit the Panthers and the New Orleans Saints. A handful of teams have expressed interest in Young, the 2020 Defensive Rookie of the Year, who is still only 24 years old. I believe since that report, it has also come out that the Tennessee Titans are going to schedule a visit with Chase Young. So I want to know, what do you guys feel about possibly Chase Young coming to the New Orleans Saints? I will say this, Chase Young, I don't want to get in trouble. He's like, I'm going to change my tune if he signs with us, because I rock with anybody who wears black and gold. But so far, I'm going to say it in a nice way. He's untapped potential. He has all the potential in the world to be a dominant defensive lineman, but he has not been that so far in his career. And y'all know who that reminds you of? A guy by the name of Marcus Davenport. So I'm not necessarily excited about the idea of Chase Young now. Would I welcome him? Absolutely. We need defensive line help. So I hope that we can get him. But I do not want to sign Chase Young at the expense of us getting into a bidding war. As Hurricane Mike says that he thinks Chase Young is just okay. I think Chase Young is a solid player, but he's definitely not a game changer. He's definitely not worthy of that high draft pick that he went for. And he's definitely not lived up to his potential since winning the 2020 Defensive Rookie of the Year. But maybe if we can get him on a one-year deal, a prove-it deal, as they say, he'll show out so he can get a future big contract. However, if our competition is the Titans and the Panthers, I feel like both of those teams are going to throw way more money than we can afford at Chase Young. So I don't see a pathway for us to sign Chase Young unless we do typical Mickey Loomis mad and we give him this crazy contract with all these incentives and a lot of dead years, and we just keep pushing the cap down the street. I don't want to do that, not for Chase Young. If we were like in that Super Bowl window, yeah, sure, knock yourself out. We almost did it for Jadeveon Clowney. We are not in a window where we need to get into a bidding war or try to continue to put ourselves in salary cap hell for Chase Young. So again, if everything works out and we can get Chase Young for cheap, and by cheap, I mean like maybe $10, $12 million for 1 year, which is still a lot of money, by the way, but I'm fine with that. I just don't want like no 3-year, $35 million contract for a guy who's basically still living off of his potential. And then you got to put yourself in even more salary cap debt because you're desperate, right? So I don't mind going after him. I definitely would not mind him signing with us, but not at the expense of us breaking the bank. So we'll see. My gut tells me the Titans usually always outbid us whenever they are in the chase with us for, no pun intended, when they're in the chase with us for defensive linemen. Y'all saw what they did with Jadeveon Clowney when we were that close to signing Jadeveon Clowney. And I forgot they signed somebody. The Titans usually are always the ones who come out on top. They like to spend a lot of money for a defensive lineman, which is fine in this case if they outbid us. Even if the Panthers outbid us, I just don't want to spend that much money for a guy who, again, it's like my dude Bruce Saints say, man, we got to stop going for players with potential and start going for players who are like real deal Holyfield. He was talking about the draft, but I'm talking about that in free agency too. Like, I know that Chase Young has a lot of potential. I know that, granted, anybody at this point will help our defensive line out, but I'm not willing to break the bank for Chase Young. And I imagine a team like the Panthers or the Titans are willing to break the bank. So if they are willing to break the bank, God bless them. If we could get Chase Young for a good deal, absolutely bring him on board to the this year more than the game lifestyle, but not at the expense of putting us in even more salary cap hell. So that's just my thoughts on it. But we'll see what happens. It's been a very, very interesting free agency so far. I'm sure you guys have saw. I did a video on it earlier. Was that last week at this point? No, yeah, with Michael Thomas. So I want to know why we got all the people in the chat right now. And shout out to you guys. You guys are showing out on YouTube this week. Finally, you guys are showing out. What do y'all think about the Michael Thomas thing? I said it on Twitter. I had a lot of visions of how Michael Thomas would leave the New Orleans Saints. One of them was not him basically calling Jeff Duncan a hoe. But we all saw the tweets last week where Mike Thomas just went scorched dirt on Jeff Duncan. And it was a very, very unceremonious way for Michael Thomas to leave the New Orleans Saints. So why are you guys in the chat? How do you guys feel after a few days of letting it settle in about Michael Thomas no longer being a New Orleans Saint? Head of an offseason, right? We lost Jameis. We lost Michael Thomas. We'll still see about Kamara, I guess. I'm starting to have a little more optimism that there's no way we're going to trade Kamara, especially with all the cornerbacks that's available in free agency. But I don't put anything past Dennis Allen and Mickey Loomis at this point. But it was definitely a bit sad to see that is how Michael Thomas, and maybe it's fitting, like Michael Thomas went out going on a Twitter rant because, that was a staple of Michael Thomas throughout his whole Saints career, is going on his Twitter rants. But, it would have been nice for him to go out as a Saints. I mean, he still is a Saints legend in my eye, but like the flag, the jersey ceremony, like we're honoring him, like he is a future Hall of Famer. And it's just kind of sad how his career has gone since that injury in 2020. My dude Valente says he loves Michael Thomas, but it was his time. But him calling out Jeff Duncan, I'm not surprised, Jeff, because Michael Thomas has had hatred for Jeff Duncan for a long time. My dude Hurricane Mike says, I think Michael Thomas ended his own career in New Orleans. I agree with both of y'all. I do think it was time. I think that we can't keep doing, you're in a toxic relationship, but doing the Gladys night, neither one of us wants to say goodbye. Sometimes you got to say goodbye, and it's for the best. And maybe time will heal all wounds, and we can honor Mike Thomas properly in the future. But right now, it was two sides that just couldn't connect the way they used to in 2017 to 2020. Brute Saint said, with Michael Thomas's attitude, I don't know if I disagree with that. Brother, talent in NFL always outshines attitude. Antonio Brown was getting offer after offer before he finally went up the deep end. Michael Thomas ain't nowhere close to Antonio Brown. Michael Thomas will get a team. If I'm the Ravens or the Chiefs, I'm definitely calling him and saying, yo, what's up? You trying to win the championship or not? That's who I hope he goes to. But there's definitely going to be some teams calling for Michael Thomas. What up, Slim South? My dude Slim South says he's going to miss Michael. We're all going to miss Michael Thomas's production. Now, granted, Michael Thomas hasn't been the same since 2020, but he was one of those guys who changed the culture of our team in 2016 up until, until Dennis Allen took over. So I'm definitely going to miss his production. I'm going to miss his unique way of leadership. And just like James, I'm going to miss his embracing of the New Orleans culture, for sure. Valente says that he doesn't think Michael Thomas will ever be honored by the Saints. I think in due time. Again, time heals all wounds. We've had some bad breakups before that have come back to, make up for it. So I think in due time we'll make up with him, but it ain't going to be obviously anytime soon. It's damn sure not going to be while Dennis Allen is running the ship. We got a lot of celebrities in the chat because we got Dennis Allen, we got Derek Carr, and now we got Mickey Loomis, who said, well, Mickey, don't cut him. Mickey, if you don't want him to go to Atlanta, Tampa Bay, or Carolina, then just re-sign him. Come on, Mickey. I don't know if you noticed, but you're the one who signs the checks. You make the decisions, Mickey, so it's your call. What other show, y'all? What other show you get Dennis Allen, Derek Carr, and Mickey Loomis in the chat? That's why Erik McCoy is coming to the Jono Barnes show. He like, damn, if my head coach and my GM and my quarterback is on this guy's chat, then I got to come pull up to the Jono Barnes show. So, again, it's a sad breakup, but it was time. So, like I said in my video last week, Michael Thomas, thank you for the memories. And now, speaking of thank yous, I want to thank everybody who's still been leaving voicemails the past few weeks. We got some voicemails this past week. Actually, we only got 2, but I don't want to make you guys do voicemails and not play them, right? So let's hear a word from one of our sponsors, and then we will play this week's edition of voicemails. Hey man, I can't believe you guys are still watching this crazy show. Because of that, you guys really deserve something special. Here's a gift just for you for being a fan. Are you going to a sports game or a concert or any major event? Well, buy your tickets from SeatGeek and use the promo code JONO at checkout and you can receive $20 off your purchase over $50. That's $20 off your purchase. What are you waiting for? You know this shit more than a game, man. So if you want to go see I heard J-Lo cancel her concert in New Orleans. That's unfortunate, man. That's unfortunate. Because you could have used the C code promo Jono and saved $20 off your purchase to go see J-Lo. But hey, you can go to a Pelicans game. You can go to a Pelicans game and go see the Pelicans for $20 cheaper if you use the code Jono at SeatGeek. All right, let's get to our voicemails, folks. We only got 2 voicemails this week. And by the way, everybody's been asking, are we going to do voicemails for Erik McCoy? Don't hate me. Don't hate me. No, we are not going to do voicemails for Derek. God, imagine the day Derek Carr comes on the show, huh? We are not going to do voicemails for Erik McCoy. We only got like an hour, maybe an hour and a half of his time. And Lord knows, y'all know I could talk. So I want to be respectful of his time. So I apologize that I'm not going to open up the voicemails for Erik McCoy. However, I will say this. Leave a comment in this video after it's played, or even now, if y'all want to like leave any message for Erik McCoy, we'll definitely show him the messages that you guys want to leave for him. All right. So whether you watch this on a replay, then comment on the YouTube video and leave whatever message you want to leave for Erik McCoy. We'll show him. Or if you want to leave a comment right now in this chat box for whatever you want to tell McCoy, Ziggy and I would definitely show him the love that you guys have for him. But no voicemails for Erik McCoy. Don't hate me. However, we do have voicemails right now.
Wow, 76ers, what happened? Pelicans put belt to that ass, and I don't give a shit about the final score. If you don't let us have that final score, then I won't let y'all have a final score. You don't get no pity points from me. I'm your father, Sean, bro. The Pelicans, I don't care if you didn't have no Joel Embiid. Well, I thought y'all when the Rams blew out the Saints and Drew Brees got hurt. You didn't want to hear that. I don't want to hear it, Sean. And you last time, first of all, you lied on my name because I rechecked on that stream that happened when you said that I said the 76 never got first round. I checked that bid like 10 times, and I said second round. You didn't go look at it, yes, motherfucker. But I don't want to hear it because if the season was to end today, guess who's in the play-in? Guess who's in the play-in? The 76ers. Guess who's in the playoff? The Pelicans. I want to hear it. If the Pelicans win down 12 more games, we have 50 wins. That's more than you could say. The bum-ass team. To buy his hairs. I have Bleacher Report on my phone, and it told me the final score. You know the first 76ers player told me in the stat sheet? Goodbye, Harris. Goodbye, too. Y'all. How was that bandwagon trip, bro? Like, man, I guarantee you if LSU was trash, you would probably be a fan of Bama because you're only a fan of good teams. Y'all wasted Allen Iverson's career. Y'all battle wasted Embiid. Ben Simmons and James Harden both quit on your team, bro. Y'all suck.
No, hold on. It's not Mikey, it's me. If we got echoed, then that's just we had to switch out the equipment because we got to travel with the equipment for Erik McCoy this weekend. So that's why you got that go. I apologize for that. I can't do voicemails if we got echo. I'm a perfectionist. I don't like playing back when I'm listening to my own damn show and hearing echo. I don't like that. So if y'all got echo, that means that that's not a good quality that you guys deserve for the Jono Bones show. So all that to say, here's the call that Mikey was essentially saying. Mikey was basically talking shit to one of my special guests usually, which is Sean, who's a Rams and Sixers fan. And y'all saw the Pelicans whooped the Sixers ass this past week. So Mikey was talking his shit to Sean. And of course, y'all know when the Sean's team loses, especially to New Orleans teams, Sean doesn't show up. So Mikey was talking that this shit more than the game trash talk to Sean. And Mikey, I promise you I will play that voicemail to Sean so that he can hear all that this shit more than the game energy that you had. And speaking of the Pelicans, look at them standings, y'all. Look at them standings. Pelicans are doing the damn thing. The Pelicans are doing the damn thing. The 5th seed right now, and they just keep on winning. We like Nemo. Nemo keep on swimming. The Pelicans just keep winning. They just keep winning. All I'm saying is this. I don't know how many diehard Pelicans fans we got on the show. I know we got all the diehard Saints fans, but y'all better be on alert for what the Pelicans are doing, bro, because the Pelicans are going to have this city on fire in April. The Pelicans are going to have this city on fire in May. I'm not guaranteeing that we're going to win a playoff series. I'm not even knock on wood, I'm not saying that, we're the best damn team in the league or anything like that, but the Pelicans are doing the damn thing right now, and y'all should be showing some love to the Pelicans right now because they are having a damn good season, and Zion is starting to look a lot like the Zion that we really wanted, so I'm really excited, and we're definitely going to be doing some Pelicans live streams, and definitely even some Pelicans watch-alongs, especially when we make the playoffs, so y'all definitely, it does you a lot of good if you are a Pelicans fan. And we also got a voicemail. I'm sorry that we got an echo. I just don't have enough capacity because Ziggy ain't on the show to fix the sound issue. But we had a voicemail from a Falcons fan who, of course, the Falcons fans, the most delusional fan base in the NFL, was talking trash essentially because Desmond Ridder isn't their quarterback anymore. So I guess they're doing victory laps about Kirk Cousins. So let's do an exercise. Since I can't play the voicemail with the echo, let's all close our eyes. All right. Picture the ugliest, dumbest person you can think of. And of course, make sure he's wearing red and black. All right. Now, rub your head. It helps you get into your mode. Now, just think of the absolute dumbest and stupidest thing an NFL fan can say. You got it? And that was what the voicemail for that Falcons fan sent me was. Fuck the Falcons.
No matter what, we all know that this shit more than a game, and now you can wear it with pride. Visit www.jonobarnes.com or thisshitmorethanagame.com and buy your This Shit More Than a Game shirt now for the low price of $28.03. You can buy it in black and gold, purple and gold, white and blue, red and navy blue, all types of colors. We've got you covered here on the Jono Barnes Show. So visit www.jonobarnes.com or thisshitmorethanagame.com and buy your This Shit More Than a Game shirt now and let the world know, folks, this shit more than a game.
Hey, I want to give a special shout out. I just saw my dude Steve in the UK who's watching on Twitter right now. He's watching all the way in the UK. This shit more than the game is international. I keep telling y'all that. Steve always shows me love on Twitter. Steve, what up, Steve? I'm glad that you're watching on Twitter, man. Thank you so much. Enjoy them early hours in the UK, and you're damn sure right, Steve. The Pelicans playing well is definitely worth staying up for in the UK. And this shit more than the game. We all know Steve in the UK is definitely this shit more than the game certified. I'm happy to see you in the chat, Steve. I know Steve going to be watching next week for the Erik McCoy interview. That's for damn sure. Derek Carr. Look, Steve, I get celebrities in my chat along with you. Derek Carr says, I thought we were about to pray. Well, Derek Carr, you need to pray for a goddamn good season next year. We are going to pray. That's what I'll say about that. Now we got... Yeah, it's going to be time to wrap up soon. We got Michael Thomas in the chat. And Michael Thomas says, Derek, you really funny from that shit. What are we doing? What are we doing on it? So this is why it's probably best that I didn't do the Erik McCoy interview live next week. I think I got to keep you guys at bay. But before we wrap up, hey, do y'all have any question that y'all want me to ask Erik McCoy? If y'all do, let me know in the chat right now. Maybe I'll ask Erik McCoy when he comes up to the This Shit More Than the Game studios this week. But if y'all have any comment or question to Erik McCoy, again, if you're watching a replay, leave it in the comment section after this goes published on YouTube. And if you're on right now, leave it in the chat. Do you have any question that you would want to ask Erik McCoy? Or any comment that you want to leave him. I can't guarantee that we're going to get to everybody's question, but we will show him, especially the comments, we'll show him that. So all that to say, folks, very monumental week coming up for Jono Barnes' channel. Very, very monumental week because, again, hold on. This is so much easier when Ziggy is moderator. Ziggy got something left to not show up the week before the Erik McCoy interview. But Erik McCoy is showing up to the This Shit More Than a Game studios this week. Again, y'all, this is not Erik McCoy doing this via Zoom. Erik McCoy is going to be with me in the This Shit More Than a Game studios this weekend to film the Jono Barnes Show. Monumental, historical, trailblazing, game-changing. That's a song I like. It's called The Renegades of Funk. And they say, renegades are people with their own philosophies. Everyday people like you and me who changed the course of history. Not trying to blow smoke on my ass, But what I'm doing with this, y'all, is some renegade type shit, because it's not every day you get an NFL player, an NFL Pro Bowl player, to pull up to your crib and kick it with you. That's some game-changing shit, folks. That's some shit that was unheard of in the 2000s, going as far back as that. I've seen NFL players, I've seen NBA players and whatnot pulled up to like podcast studios of, fans or whatnot. I haven't, and I'm sure I'm not the first one. Again, I'm not trying to act like I'm the first one of all time, but it's very rare that you get an NFL player, a Pro Bowl player, to pull up to your crib. That's some monumental shit, and that's because you guys have helped me build this platform. So I know that you guys are going to be tuned in next week. I don't have the exact date that we're going to post it, because I'm going to need some time to like actually do the editing of the pre-recorded interview. I'm thinking next Wednesday is when we'll do it, because the interview is happening on Sunday night, so it'll give me a good 2 days to make sure I got everything edited and to promote it and give you guys enough time to know when we're going live. We're going live to premiere it. Like Ziggy and I are going to be in the chat. We're going to premiere the video. It's not going to be live, but we're going to live premiere it, where we're going to have a live chat going on during the premiere of the Erik McCoy interview. So I really, really hope you guys try to set aside your week next Tuesday, Wednesday, or even Thursday night. I'm sorry that I can't give you guys a concrete date. It depends on how much editing I have to do. And unfortunately, I still have a 9 to 5 too, so I have some other commitments I got to do. But once I edit the video and all that good stuff, we'll get it up for you guys. But as soon as Sunday night, you can at least go on my twitter.com @Jono Barnes, and I'll start posting like some preview clips and some photos of the experience and whatnot. But that is because you guys have given me this platform that I can't understate it enough or overstate it. Y'all, NFL player is putting up to New Orleans East at that. We ain't in Metairie, we in New Orleans East. To New Orleans East to do a podcast interview with a fan. That is some historical, this shit more than the game stuff. That's some stuff that content creators in the future are going to be like, whoa, that was a game changer. That shows me that my team's favorite player might be able to put up to my crib and do an interview. So shout out to Erik McCoy, man, for real, because that is some monumental shit. But I couldn't do it without having an audience like you guys. So I know you guys ain't going to let me down this week, and I know you guys are going to tune in. Whether you tune in for the live premiere or whether you tune in and watch it afterwards. I know you guys are going to tune in. Don't let Erik McCoy down. You can let me down all you want, but don't let Erik McCoy down, because he is, for sure, this shit more than the game certified. And I'm looking at some of the comments right now. I see some of the things you guys want to ask. Like my dude from Keeping It Real, Who That Sports podcast says, he wants me to ask if Erik would point to the reasons why the offensive line struggled earlier last season. Yeah, they were definitely going to ask him some questions about last season and what went wrong, what went right, and what are we doing, or what's the mindset to get us over this hump in 2024 to become a playoff team again. But now, Valente, I don't know, are you asking me or are you asking McCoy about any advice for someone who wants to try and get interviews with Saints players? If you're asking me, let me know in the chat right quick. If you want me to ask McCoy, I'm sure he's just going to say, hit him up, hit the players up. Slim Saw wants to know. Hey, Slim Saw, I promise you, we actually already had that question in our question list. So we're going to ask him about some New Orleans type stuff that, again, y'all, we are going to ask football questions, but we're also going to ask like some cool life questions. Like, it's going to be a fun conversation. Y'all know how me and Ziggy and maybe even Big Sean, y'all know how we get down. Like, it's a fun show. It's a sports talk analysis type show, but it's also entertainment. We want to entertain you guys. It's going to be a very entertaining show. And we hope that this interview is going to be the first of many, many Saints players, Pelicans players, public figures. It doesn't even have to be like New Orleans bubble. It could be outside. Like, we want to make this like the beginning of something special. But this, you want to get one first guest, like one special first guest. You want to get one historical like episode of what you're doing when you really build something. What we're doing with Erik McCoy is going to be like history in the making. And God willing, it's only going to go up from here. Maybe we'll get a Cam join in the future. Maybe we'll get a Saints quarterback in the future. Like, but it starts with getting this Erik McCoy interview. And shout out to that man, for real. Because, again, I'm going to say this one more time, and I'm probably sound like a broken record. I've seen players go on fan podcasts. I've seen players do the Zoom interviews, all that good stuff. Very, very rarely have I ever seen a player willingly pull up to a fan's crib to do an interview with. And I'm not the biggest podcaster in the world. I'm even surprised I'm calling myself a podcaster at this point. I'm not the biggest YouTuber. I mean, look, y'all, I got 29 people in a chat right now on YouTube. I got over 400 people across all platforms, which is awesome, but I only got 29 people on YouTube right now. I'm not the biggest YouTuber. So for him to give me his time on his off season when he could be chilling with his wife, just enjoying his, a few days before he has to ramp up for his workouts and whatnot, for him to give me his time to come to my crib. He didn't say, you got to come to my crib, Jono. He probably wouldn't want me to go to his crib. I'd be like, ooh, this is a nice little crib, kick my feet back and everything. For him to come to my crib, I can't overstate enough how awesome that is and how humbled I am at what's coming up this weekend. And I truly hope I don't let you guys down with the interview. I hope I make you guys happy. And I hope you guys know that because I'm even able to get this Erik McCoy interview, it's because of you guys. So you guys have made me very, very happy. So I thank you guys. And I really hope you guys tune in next week. Check out my Twitter. Check out my YouTube community channel. Check out all that good stuff. Check out my IG. I'm going to promote the shit out of it like once we have the date and time locked in. But I hope you guys join us for the live premiere next week. And I hope if you can't join us for the live premiere, for whatever reason, I know everybody has their own lives. Hopefully you guys make some time at any point next week to take an hour or two out your day to watch what will be a historical, monumental, and a pretty special interview for me. It's going to be pretty special. So I thank you guys. Love you guys. And always remember, this shit more than a game. See you next week with Erik McCoy, folks.
In the words of Jono Barnes, this is more than a game. It's more than a game.
This shit more than a game.